this is for a place on the world team, and so we're nothing but honored, grateful to be able to promote the mission of Beat the Streets and the 2,500 student athletes we work with, from all the way probably as young as kindergarten through college age student athletes. And so we're just grateful here. Want to thank our partners, MSG and Hulu Theater, for letting us use this world-class arena, and just the level of professionalism. If you were here in 2019, it was electric. And so the goal is to do the same thing again this year. Obviously, USA Wrestling and FloWrestling, want to thank all of them for just promoting what we do and promoting this event. It's a really big event. It really feels like it's a very small number of people that are doing the work of an army. And the work for us, we're still going to be hustling, and we're just elated and grateful and excited. And lastly, we want to thank my staff, all of our staff and volunteers, just working around the clock. None of that would be possible. So we welcome everybody tomorrow. As you know, there'll be 2 sessions. We have an after party, which is always a big part of the event, and we welcome everybody to New York City. If there's anything we can do to make your experience better, please just let us know, and best of luck to the reason we're all here, for these athletes, marquee people, some of the best athletes in the world, competing for a spot on the U.S. national team at the World Championship. So best of luck. Thank you very much. Hope it's a great day for everybody tomorrow.
Are there any questions for Brendan? Media? Okay, we'll let you go, Brendan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kind of short. I got to move this down a little bit. So I'd like to introduce the weight classes in weight order that we're going to be competing. The first 5 weights, we'll talk to the athletes that wrestle in bout 1 of each session, then bout 2, bout 3, and we'll work our way down the table. So our first group of athletes that will be competing this week are at 77 kilograms in Greco-Roman, Britton Holmes and Kamal Bey. Now, I'll have a question for each, and you guys just pick up the microphone and let her go, okay? Britton, you've trained at the OTC while you were in high school in a small town in Colorado. Then you went up to northern Michigan to train Greco-Roman in college, and now you're part of the Army WCAP, one of the greatest Greco-Roman training centers in the world. Could you talk about how each of these places have impacted you as a wrestler now that you head into Final X?
Yeah, I was fortunate to be able to grow up in Peyton, Colorado, small ranching town. I graduated with 43 kids in my high school class. And yeah, as a kid, I was with T.C. Danzler, and he started Front Range Twisters. And from there, we started going to the training center and starting this Greco dream from the beginning. And I knew about 8th grade is when I really wanted to be all Greco. So that's when I started talking to Rob Herman, who eventually got me to Northern Michigan, and there competed and just kept the Greco dream. And once COVID hit, I knew needed to do something, and with that time period of being able to stand still, everyone not wrestling, I decided to go to basic training and get that over with, and that's when I joined the Army team. And I know the Army team's the best place for me, and it's the best team that, not only in the U.S., but in the world. So just the training atmosphere, all the partners, and me and Kamal make each other better, and this is why we're the first match out. We're going to make a big show, so yeah.
Thanks, Britton. Kamal, so some people know a little bit about your career. Obviously, you won a junior world title. You were a high placer at the senior level. And then it's been a little while till this season when you weren't wrestling. And when you won a spot in Final X, you told me that, hey, I'm back. So could you tell us a little bit about that journey that brings you back to 2 matches away from going back to the World Championships?
For you guys don't know, Kamal Bey once again. See a lot of young faces here. I want to say, hey, your best years are in front of you. All you guys wrestling to Beat the Streets, New York. Just as far as being back, it's the family atmosphere that the wrestling community provides. So after my suspension, well, you signed it for a year. I just kind of tried to win in the best situation possible. So I ended up going to basic training, joining the world-class athlete program after that, and it's been a long road just as far as like, you know, staying healthy and still keeping that unshakable mindset that like no matter what, I'm gonna keep striving for it. But you know, as far as you know, like I always like to bring the excitement. I love a good show and competing, especially with Britain. If you guys don't know, me and Britain are both partners at 77 kilos representing the world-class athlete program, and we got this thing where 77 dominates the room. So all the other weight classes kind of stay away from us because we go crazy. It's a good time. That camaraderie and that friendship. Me and Britain actually grew up together when I moved out to Colorado. When I moved out to Colorado, we were coached by the same coach, T.C. Danzler, and we've been friends ever since. So it's going to be lights out at the very least for this match.
So can we expect a couple of good throws? What do you think?
That's all me and Britain do.
Okay.
Body lock or bust, right?
Thank you, guys. So we'll go to the next weight class. It's 72 kilograms in women's freestyle. Skylar Grody against Amit Elor. Skylar, I'll start with you. You're a Jersey girl. You attended school at Blair, and you've been early in your career, even when you were a teenager, a member of the New York Athletic Club. Obviously, you wandered off to Canada for college, but you're back now in the States for sure. But you get to wrestle in your first Final X here in New York City, here in Madison Square Gardens Theater. What's that mean to you to be able to come back home and put it on the line for your family and friends?
Yeah, you know, it's awesome being back on the East Coast. I'll always be an East Coast girl, but right now I'm living in Oregon, and, you know, that's been a home to me too. But yeah, it's great to come back, see my parents, see my family. I have a whole bunch of family and friends that get to come watch me tomorrow, so it's awesome.
And you've trained for a while, and you've been really able to get some good successes, but you have a chance to make a senior world team. How do you feel this season went for you and as far as your competition and the strides you've taken to make it to the top match?
Yeah, so I moved out to Oregon last July, and I think that just my improvement in the last year has been crazy. You know, I have great coaches at Oregon State, Chris, Nate, Mike Kasoy. They've all spent a lot of time. They're super invested in my wrestling, and we can see that. You know, I won my first U.S. Open title not too long ago. I won senior Pan Ams in Mexico, and now I'm here at the finals of Final X. So, you know, it's exciting, and I've had great coaches my whole career. I went to Blair Academy for high school. I had great coaches there who are going to be in attendance tomorrow, so I'm truly blessed with that.
Thanks a lot, Skylar. Speak to Amit over here. In case you didn't realize, she's just finishing high school, okay? So we're talking about a wonderful talent. But Amit, you've won world titles in 2 levels as an age group wrestler, but this is your first year competing at the senior Olympic level. Could you talk a little bit about that experience and kind of things that you learned or maybe you didn't expect once you decided to move on up and take a run at making this senior world team?
Yeah, it feels really exciting to be competing as a senior finally. And I feel like it's just a really good learning experience, and it's teaching me how to be more of a professional athlete, everything from diet to discipline with training. And I'm really excited to go out there and test myself and have fun wrestling.
You also are with the New York City Regional Training Center. You spent a little time here with the coaches. Talk a little bit about New York, because you're a California girl, but you spent a lot of time here, aren't you?
Yeah, so I first came over here when I was 14, and I started wrestling at the New York RTC. And so this is like my second home over here. I'm staying down in Jersey City, so it's really just a 30-minute train ride to get here. So it's really cool to get to wrestle in Final X over here. Yeah, I'm really thankful.
Thank you very much, Amit. So we're going to move up to 65 kilograms in men's freestyle. Our 2 athletes are Evan Henderson and Yanni Diak. I'll start with Evan. Evan, you've been wrestling for a long time. You've been to some different training places, been able to compete at a high level in a lot of competitions. But this year, obviously, you've made it to the finals of Final X. You put together some really good competitions in the last few months. Could you talk a little bit about some of the influences and things that are making things go right for you this year, and just the people and the situation that you can credit for getting to a spot where you could be on the senior world team?
Yeah, it's like I'm just sitting here thinking about all the RTCs that I've been a part of and all the coaches that have helped me through my journey. In case you guys didn't know, I was with New York City RTC a couple years ago, and then my last RTC that I was with was out of Ithaca. So I was with Coach Gray, I was with Coach Valentine, Coach Cross, and then even before that, you go back to when I was at Campbell, assistant coach at Campbell. With Kerry Colat. So, but the thing that I love though right now is that I'm with Ohio State and their coaching staff is amazing. Jay Jaggers, Bo, Logan, and Tom. I mean, they test me. They test me every day in the room. And with the guys that we have in there, it's great. I love it.
Thanks, Evan. Yanni, last summer on the senior world team, you won many age group level events, but you earned a spot and were able to compete in Oslo. And we're at a spot now where you have an opportunity to go with us to Serbia and make another senior world team. What's this year been like for you? Obviously, college was back in the picture, and it's certainly curious about your takeaways from your first senior worlds.
I think in the past I was really looking forward to making the team, and all the training we were doing was get on the team, get on the team, get on the team. And now obviously I'm not looking past that, but I think I'm kind of holding myself to a standard of what are the best guys in the world doing, and what do I have to do to succeed at that level. So I feel like the biggest improvement I made was and you can see it when I won match 3 to make the world team in the fall. I was really excited, and I didn't have the world championships that I wanted. So I think now, my standards have changed a little bit, and there's a certain amount of skill and wrestling output that I expect for myself.
And have things gone well for you in your preparation for this event? Here in this great state of New York, I just want to mention the fact that we got another New Yorker here. By the way, I was born in Brooklyn, so.
There we go. Yeah, it's awesome wrestling back home. I feel extremely prepared for this, and having it be so close to my home state, being able to have all my teammates, my friends, family here is awesome. And I'm really excited, counting the hours until I can wrestle tomorrow.
Thanks a lot, Yanni. I appreciate it. Our next weight class is 84 kilograms in Greco. We have Alan Vera against Timothy Young. I'll start with Alan. Alan, people may know that you're an immigrant from Cuba, but they may not know that you live in New Jersey and that you're from this region since you've settled here. And could you talk a little bit about being able to compete for another spot on the world team, but here in where it's become your backyard, right? What's that like for you to come into the Garden and give it your best tomorrow?
Well, the first thing is thank you everyone for coming on. And yeah, Gary, like you say, I've been wrestling here in New York before, but this one have something special. I get emotional, but I know how I can handle this. I get my family, my wife, I get the coaches, my teammates, I get some neighbors, so they come to watch me too. And I just had to put in everything together, so just doing what I have to do, or what I've been doing for the last 20 years. I got so many ups and downs, so this is my second chance to make the world team. I'm so much different than last year. I'm just ready to go.
And were there things from Oslo that you've put into practice in your preparation for this event? Yeah, right away I finished in Oslo, so I have my knee surgery, and I make some connection for recover, so get help from the coach Valentine. And I'm pretty sure you know, I've been in Ukraine, Kiev, for 2 months and a half. Unfortunately, I had to get out for the situation what they have over there. I get some emails, some calls, just try to get out as soon as possible. By the way, so I can compete in Zagreb, Croatia, because I get a COVID over there, so plus they cancel the flights, but hopefully I get out. And I've been training on the mat, so this is my main reason why I feel more confident. So I get more teammates, training partner, specific coaches. It's something like I feel, like I said before, ready to go. So it's almost different. Excellent. Thank you, Alan.
Excellent. Thank you.
To my left is Timothy Young. Timothy, could you talk just a little bit about your background? I mean, you're 2 matches away from going to the Senior Worlds, and I'm not sure many people know your backstory. And if you could, tell us about how you got connected into the sport of Greco-Roman wrestling.
Yeah, I'm from Aurora, Illinois, and how I got connected with Greco was a coach named Jake Harrell and Nate Pisecki. And I didn't find Greco. Greco really found me my freshman summer. And those guys were like, hey, you're great at folk style, but you need to wrestle Greco. You have the body type for it, so you need to jump in there and do it. And he's followed me all throughout my career, just been that little voice in the back of my head before every match, hey, Tim, this is what you need to do before your match. And when I was getting out of college at Old Dominion, right after the program was canceled, he's like, Tim, are you going to wrestle Greco? Dude, like, this is your chance. COVID just hit. And I was like, I don't know. He's like, all right, well, think about it and come back to me. And I really wasn't finding my way without wrestling. And so I was like, you know what, let me get back to wrestling and what I love. And I called Coach Linlin. I was like, hey, I'm ready to come back to Greco. He's like, all right, come out to a camp. And I called my coach, Hector Gomez, and he's like, I'm looking for an athlete to sponsor, and you'd be perfect. So AAU, they've been taking care of me ever since last year, and things have been great with them. So that's how I came back to the sport.
Did you expect success this quickly since you came back to Greco?
I think I was expecting more success since last year because I'd been sticking with it. I was expected to do better than the year before. And if not, that means I need to change some things. So I think I did expect success.
Well, thank you very much, and good luck tomorrow. You have an opportunity again, right?
Thank you.
And our final weight class is 125 kilograms in freestyle. Hayden Zilmer against Nick Gwizdowski. Let's start with Hayden. You've wrestled 92 and 97 at times in the senior level, but made the big move up to be with the big men at heavyweight. And could you talk a little bit about your teammate, training partner, Olympic champion Gable Stevenson, and he's from your RTC, and how he might have helped you in your transition to heavyweight? And you have an opportunity here to be the #1 heavyweight in the United States this year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, like you said, I moved up from 92, 97, and then heavyweight. But yeah, 97 happened with the Olympic year and how the medals worked out. 97 was an opportunity, so I moved up. 92 was a little bit of a cut for me, and I just, I don't perform the best when I do that. But so I made that move up. Gable was kind of a factor. We walked in the room one day, and he's like, why don't you just go heavyweight? So yeah, I wrestled heavyweight, and he kind of a little bit of confidence. But yeah, we've been partners for the last 5 years, and it's been great. He's amazing, and became good friends and push each other every day, and it's amazing.
Does he have you do those backflips, or do you got something that he's got worked out for you this week?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see if I can hit a backflip. We'll see.
Well, thanks a lot, Hayden. That's great. To my right here is Nick Gwizdowski, 2-time world medalist for the United States. Again, we've got a real theme here. He's a native of New York, grew up in the Albany area, went to Binghamton for his first year in college, and went down to North Carolina State, where he not only excelled in college, but became one of the best wrestlers in the world. You recently returned back to your home state here, and you're training down at Cornell and with the Spartan Combat and helping coach athletes down there. Nick, could you talk a little bit about returning home for your training, and also an opportunity to wrestle here in New York City again?
Yeah, it was a good point in my career. Coach Gray gave me a call one day, and it made sense for where I was in my career, and kind of see some different looks, be around different people, and get some time back in New York as well. As for competing here, I think this is maybe the 3rd time. I think I wrestled here in 16 at the NCAAs, and then in 19 at the Beat the Streets. It's New York City. It's a special event. They're always going to do things big. And I've always enjoyed it. I got a lot of people coming down to support. It's just, people see New York City, they want to come because it's a great event for a good reason. So I'm looking forward to it, be at my best.
Thanks a lot, Nick. So at this point, we're going to open up for questions from journalists. I've got a volunteer who's going to hand around the microphone. If you have a question, please raise your hand. She'll bring you the mic. Identify yourself and your media outlet, and then ask a specific athlete to speak. And if you guys could pass around the handhelds when that person gets a question, that would be wonderful. Okay, raise your hand. Who wants to go first?
Kyle Klingman, FloWrestling. Question for Kamal Bey. You started the Smack Talk with Pat Smith in 2019 at Final X. First of all, why does Pat Smith warrant Smack Talk after Benji Peak did it, and why no Smack Talk for Britain?
Britain gets smack talk 24/7 in the practice room. It's just one of those things. We grew up together. Like I said, we grew up together. He's a friend of the family. I'm a friend of his family. So we're just gonna let it fly on the mat. Is pretty much what it is.
I'm not sure you answered the question about Pat Smith, though.
It wasn't really an insult. I said he was built like a Honda Civic, fuel efficient, because he has a gas tank. That was a compliment.
Okay. Next question. Raise your hand, please.
A question for Amit. Excuse me. You're the youngest competitor, I believe, here at Final X. When did you first start setting goals to be that you would eventually get to this level and try to win senior world medals?
Well, you know, it was my dream to go to the Olympics ever since I was 4 years old. So I feel like I've had these goals since I was really young. But at the moment, my goal is to make a senior world team. I like to take it one step at a time. And yeah, I've always wanted to be the best at whatever I decided to do. So yeah, it's kind of a mentality. Thank you.
Next question.
This is a question for Britton. I'm Josh Smith with the School of the New York Times. Britton, Kamal is someone who is credited as being more explosive and someone who can score points from every position. However, you've been in this position before with Ravon Perkins, and you've pulled off the upset. What lessons have you taken from your fight with Ravon Perkins, and kind of what do you do in terms of mentality to prepare for this fight?
Yeah, I don't look at those as upsets in my head. I don't know. That's probably the mentality part of me. I knew I was going out there and wrestling my match, and Ravon had to wrestle me. So I'm thinking that same way. Kamal has to wrestle me. I'm a dog. I like to fight, and everyone that comes to wrestle me, they feel it too. They don't enjoy it. So same thing, going out there and wrestling my match, and that's how I go about it. And I know I work harder than anyone else. In my own opinion, I work harder than anyone else in the whole room, in the world. So I'm ready to put it out there and let it fly. So.
Next question. Oh, come on. We got to have something, JD. In the back. I just volunteered somebody. Right over there.
So, Britton, if you're a dog, are you the type of dog that prefers chew toys or balls thrown and chasing? And what would Kamal be in this scenario?
You trying to start the trash talk. All I'm saying is, I'm a D-A-W-G. It's not a D-O-G. I'm a dog, okay? So get it right. And then 2, that's for Kamal to decide, because I know I'm a big, mean dog. And I actually have a GSP, bird hunting dog, so I would say I'm a GSP. I'm hunting. I'm out here to kill, so thank you.
Evan, you've been around the block. You've been graduated from North Carolina for a handful of years now. What was different this time around that allowed you to at least make it to here to Final X?
Being in a room with a bunch of killers, you know, being in, not to say I wasn't in a room with killers at other RTCs or anything like that, but at Ohio State, I mean, every single guy in there that lays hands on me wants to, you know, they want to come in and they want to beat the old guy. You know, oh man, I think I have like, on some of those guys I got 10 years. So it's like when you got a young buck come in, they want to put it to you. You wake up the next morning hurting a little bit, but you can't let them get anything, you know. So, and day in and day out like that, it's helped me. It helps me stay focused. You know, if I go in and get my butt kicked, you know, I got to recalibrate a little bit and go in there and kick their butt the next day.
Next question.
Christian Piles, FloWrestling. Question for Yanni. Evan mentioned the Ohio State room full of killers. Evan was at Cornell. He trained with you for a long time. What did you learn training alongside Evan, and what was that training like?
We two in Ithaca are killers. Just throwing that out there.
Didn't say you weren't.
No, yeah, I'm busting. Yeah. Hendo was good because I mean, you don't have to be a genius to know this. He's really different. The way he wrestles is kind of crazy, wide open, wrestles a lot of freestyle positions. So, there was a learning curve being in the room with Hendo, and as it went, my skills developed. So I actually, he was really helpful being in the room with me. Spent a lot of time in, chest strap, the freestyle Merkel, a lot of stuff like that. So he really helped me build my skills just by, challenging me in positions that normally I just win right away. So I'm glad to have had him in the room.
Thanks, Yanni.
Another question? One right over here.
Hi, I'm Sydney from the School of the New York Times. Question for Amit. As a young wrestler and also as a girl, what is your goals and hopes to inspire young girls to get into the sport of wrestling?
I want to inspire girls that wrestling, anybody can do it, and that it's really fun, and that it will empower you and make you feel stronger, and that girls can wrestle just like guys.
Anyone else? One more. After this question, I think we'll break into one-on-ones, so make it a good one, okay?
Okay. Nelson Lamb, School of the New York Times. Zilmer, how has wrestling with Gable changed both your confidence on the mat as well as workout routine?
It's great. He's like nobody else. He's 270 pounds and he moves like he's a 125 pounder. Every day I wrestle with him. It's kind of like a learning curve. It's kind of a chess match. Some days I feel like I maybe gain something, or I get better in a position. I can maybe attack and score, and it's the next day you kind of made adjustments, and we're back to square one where I'm wrestling a super big guy, super powerful, and like I said, he moves like a 25 pounder. He's amazing. So. Yeah.
So at this point, we're going to break out into one-on-ones. Athletes, you can either stay up here, the journalists will come to you, or they may ask you to walk to another part of the arena. We're going to do this until about quarter of, and then the athletes will go get their tour. So here's an opportunity to talk to a specific athlete if you would like, and really appreciate everyone being here. Let's go. Greetings. This is Gary Abbott with USA Wrestling. I'll be moderating the second press conference here today for Final X. For anyone who's new here that wasn't at the first press conference, just wanted to talk a little bit about what we're trying to achieve here in New York. We've had two of wrestling's most important organizations, USA Wrestling and Beat the Streets, have combined with two of the best event properties in the sport, Final X and Beat the Streets Gala. And we're going to be wrestling at the Hulu Theater at the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. Out of this event will come 14 athletes who will earn a spot on the U.S. Senior World Team, which will be competing in Serbia in September. So a lot of exciting activities. We have 28 athletes that are wrestling. And we've decided this year, instead of doing one massive press conference, we're going to split it up into 3 groups. You see that this group only has 4 sets of athletes. For people that may not have seen the announcement yesterday, the women's 62 kilogram world silver medalist Kayla Merkel has taken an extension on her series against Jennifer Rogers. The site and date of that extended series is going to be announced at a later date. But that's within her rights as a world medalist who had a Final X free pass in the rules of the World Team Trials. And so with this group, which was originally going to be 10 athletes, we've got 4 weight classes. We do have 1 athlete who's not here yet, so we'll probably skip your weight for a while, Felicity. And we had a situation in Stillwater where we had a travel issue, and one of the athletes was still on an airplane somewhere because of issues. So do appreciate everyone who's here, and certainly we're going to give Dom a little chance to get here because we'd love to have her part of the press conference. At this point, just a little bit about how we're going to conduct this. Our format will, I'll introduce each weight class, and then I will ask 1 question for each athlete, and I'll go through the 4 weight classes in this segment. Once I'm done with my questions, we will open it up to questions from the media. I've got a volunteer who's going to help me again and hand out the microphone. If you have a question, raise your hand. Please indicate who you are and what your media outlet is, and then address the athlete. We've got handheld microphones. They'll pass them around to each other, and we'll go from there. And then at the end, we're going to split it up into one-on-one opportunities after we're done with the formal press conference and media questions. Athletes, you could stay up here, or the media member may ask you to move to another portion of this room for questions. We will go 45 minutes, and then after 45 minutes, we'll ask the athletes to go get a tour of the gym where they'll be wrestling, working out, doing interviews, the location. You'll get a venue preview from the Beat the Street staff. So we'll mention that at the end of the interview time. So at this point, though, I'd like to introduce Beat the Street's Executive Director, Brendan Buckley, to talk a little bit about the fundraising activity we're doing as part of this event, about Beat the Streets, and about the athletes who are involved in the program. And Brendan, appreciate you giving everyone a briefing.
Thanks, Gary. It's a pleasure to be here. Welcome all of you for what's a momentous occasion, great opportunity, I know, for everyone to compete to earn a spot on the U.S. World Team. And Beat the Streets is really honored to be providing this opportunity for everybody here in New York City. Just an electric atmosphere. We were here in 2019 and sold out the theater, and it's really quite a spectacle. All the tech here and the lights and the crowd, it's a real intimate atmosphere, and so I think everybody will be really happy and feel good to be competing in such a great arena. Want to thank our partners, USA Wrestling, FloWrestling, MSG, and Hulu for hosting us. And certainly, this is our annual benefit. So we've done some really unique events here. We've competed on the USS Intrepid, which is an aircraft carrier here in the Hudson River. We've competed on the South Street Seaport over with the Brooklyn Bridge in the back as a backdrop, Times Square numerous times, Grand Central, and this will be our second time here at Hulu Theater. So this event, all the funds that we raise with our donors and the fans who are purchasing tickets, it all goes to support the mission of Beat the Streets. So we work with up to 2,500 student athletes in all 5 boroughs of New York City. We pay for them to go to competitions, camps. We run a middle school league. We have a program that works with kids off the mat to help them get prepared for college and provide academic support, college visits. So this event is really important for Beat the Streets. And again, we're honored to be able to do it in tandem with such a terrific event here in Final X. So wish everybody the best. And if there's anything we can do to make the event better, just let us know.
Does anyone have any questions for Brendan? Thanks, Brendan. So we're going to start our questions with 67 kilograms in Greco-Roman. Alejandro Sancho against Alston Nutter. And I'll speak first with Alex. Alex, you were able to compete in the Tokyo Olympics last year, and now you have a chance to go and make your first senior world team. Could you talk a little bit about the progress you've made in the last year or two, where you now have opportunities to represent the United States and to compete against the world's best, and what things are going well with your wrestling and training?
Well, it won't be the first opportunity. I competed at the Olympics, didn't do too well there, and then I had a chance to compete the following year, but then I ended up taking second. I think, I changed up my training, my mentality. I want to be the best, not only here in the United States, but I want to be the best in the World Championships as well, the Olympics. So, I just changed up, I just had to look at myself in the mirror and, just mature a little bit, grow as a person, and make this world team this year.
If there was one strength in your wrestling, what would you tell people you've really been able to master in Greco-Roman?
In Greco-Roman, I'm really good on my feet. I have a lot of moves I can do on my feet. I'm really good in parterre. I'm good at pushing people around. I'm good at maintaining, being in the circle. It's hard for me to get tired. That's pretty much it.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate it. Alston, so right before COVID, 2019, you won a world medal in junior division for the United States. Obviously, we all went through a period where we weren't doing a lot of wrestling, and you're here 2021, a shot at making a world team at the senior level. What's happened to you during that time since the junior world medal that you've been able to improve your game, and how did you keep yourself going to the point where now you may be able to go and compete at that senior world?
Just like growing and maturing, believing in myself and pushing every day. It comes down to my coaching. They push me every day, and winning that world medal and able to keep it rolling afterwards is a huge thing that's brought me to where I am today. So just pushing forward and believing in myself.
Now, you're from the great state of Wisconsin, correct?
Yes, sir.
And there are a lot of states that do well in Greco, and Wisconsin's one of them. Could you talk a little bit about the Greco culture among the wrestlers there, and the fact that people are still training there, still making teams and moving forward in their careers out of the state?
Well, it comes all the way back to the roots from Dennis Hall and some of the greats like that, and I think it's just a rich history of Greco in Wisconsin, and it's really cool that, everybody still believes in it and really enjoys it and continues training it and pushing everyone to be the best there.
Thanks very much, man. We're going to skip over 53 women and move on to 60 kilogram Greco at this point. Dalton Roberts against Ildar Hafizov. Dalton, you trained in Northern Michigan, trained at the Olympic Training Center, and then joined Army WCAP. And we see this happen quite a bit where two WCAP athletes end up fighting for a spot to take the senior world team. You and Ildar have wrestled in this kind of setting before. How do you get prepared to go against someone you train with, someone you know well, someone you love and respect, and still keep the edge you need to become the #1 in the country?
Yeah, thanks, Gary. Great question. It's not easy. We wrestle each other a lot. We could wrestle this match, last week in the practice room. It's not like there's a whole lot of hiding that you can do in the WCAP room. You're either going to get better or you're not going to stay long. I can see what he's doing in the practice room. He can see what I'm doing. We're just training last week with each other, so we know each other very well. Historically, we've gone 3 matches, so it's always going to be, a gauntlet. We're going to run it once more, and we'll see how it goes.
And about your wrestling, obviously you put yourself in a good position with some of your victories this year. What's going right with your competition right now?
Yeah, it's been a good year. I was battling an injury. I had to pull out of the U.S. Open prematurely. I've never done that before. I don't like doing that, but I think it was the right call, not trying to get hurt before a bigger competition like the World Team Trials or this. We've missed some opportunities. We couldn't go overseas, wrestle at the Pan Ams. We couldn't go over to Croatia for multitude of different reasons, but we're here now, and everyone here with WCAP, we're hungry because we missed those opportunities, and we're looking to prove it tomorrow.
Thanks a lot, Dalton. Appreciate it. Ildar, so you've been to the Olympics twice, multiple world championships, national titles, medals overseas. Could you talk a little bit about what motivates you to continue the hard training and the sacrifice and enter these tough competitions, and what kind of goals do you have ahead of yourself this year and beyond?
Thank you. It's a great question. I think most importantly, my family pushes me, my coaches, my teammates, because when you walk into our wrestling room, you cannot not training. Watch those guys who practicing hard every day, grinding. You just cannot watch them and not doing anything. It's hard. And every day I walk in without if you have bad mood or something, you just need to walk into our wrestling room and watch those guys, and he will be falling in love and doing practice with them in 5 minutes. So future goals is like always medal overseas. Need some medal from Worlds, and I think I'm still hungry for more wrestling. I've just started enjoying the process.
So you're sitting next to the man that won us a medal at the last World Championships, and clearly when you make a world team, an Olympic team, you're pulling for your country, and you're also trying to build the sport of Greco in the United States. Could you talk a little bit about just that current set of athletes in Greco and how you think the winners of Final X will do this year in Serbia?
So whoever wins tomorrow I think is fundamental for wrestling in general, and thank you. I appreciate you guys doing it here. So you promoting wrestling more, doing more popular in the United States, especially Greco. Like freestyle and folk style, everybody knows it, but Greco, we need people to see it, And what you guys doing is great, and tomorrow, whoever wins, I'm pretty sure we'll bring some medals.
Thanks a lot, Ildar. Appreciate you. Our next weight class, 97 kilogram in Greco-Roman, Giangelo Hancock against Braxton Amos. This is a rematch of the Olympic trials, for those that may not know that. But I'll start with Giangelo. For many years, you've wrestled at the highest level in the world, beaten a lot of the best athletes, wins over medalists, champions. You broke through with a medal in Oslo. Talk about how that has helped you this year get prepared and maybe even change or improve your game so that perhaps the next time on the podium it's a gold.
Thank you, Gary. To be honest, you know, I think getting a medal maybe have opened my eyes. First and foremost, I'm extremely grateful to the community in the wrestling that I've, you know, came across, no matter how small or no, you know, how local they are. But I think I could speak from a place of genuine transparency after dedicating so many years of my life to this climb, that to be a Greco-Roman wrestler in America, it feels like to be a second-class citizen. You know, to put it simply, there's a lack of funding, there's a lack of resources, there's a lack of support that we have, and getting a medal hasn't changed that. And I think that's something that should be recognized. You know, I know that the argument loves to be had that Greco-Roman needs medals, and you know, just because of Ildar's speech, it's obviously on our minds. We're hungry for medals, right? But the fact of the matter is, you know, how do you get such a great level of success without great levels of support, great levels of resources? So I believe that's, you know, the most important thing to take away from that. The only thing I've learned from my medal is that Greco needs more support. You know, we got guys on our team willing to die for a medal, and we don't have no support.
And for yourself, how's your training going into this competition?
My training is going phenomenal. You know, I stay in peak shape. I'm thankful for Marcus for now. I'm not sure if many of you guys know this person, but that's who I train with out of a shed in Fountain, Colorado, where I was actually born. And that's the type of resources and support that I've had. And so my training is phenomenal, though. We get by with what we got, and we're proud of that. And I think that, you know, there's a glory and there's a pride that comes with Greco-Roman wrestling, and that's about it. And I think that should be notified.
Thanks a lot, Angelo. Appreciate you. Braxton, so last year you went in the Olympic trials in 2 different styles, made the finals, went out and won some world medals for us at the junior level, and now you've been through your first full collegiate season. Could you talk a little bit about heading into Final X, where you are as far as in your Greco-Roman wrestling? Because obviously you've had a mix of experiences and quite a lot of wrestling since last April down in Texas. Could you talk a little bit about how your Greco's going right now?
Yeah, you know, it's going great. You know, I want to thank the Wisconsin RTC and UW and Sunkist for all the support that they've given me in freestyle and Greco. You know, especially, you know, the last couple weeks, my training partners have been there for me, making sure that I'm ready, making sure I have everything I need. I mean, Trent hopped off a plane Sunday night from U23s and hopped back on one Monday morning to make sure I'm ready for this. So I mean, it's been humbling to see the amount of support that, you know, the state of Wisconsin and USA Wrestling has put behind me to you know, to chase medals and to chase teams.
So for Paris, I mean, we're less than 2 years from the next Olympic trials. Are you going to make a run in both styles? Are you going to do one or the other? Have you decided? Do you even talk about it yet? Although it seems a while away.
Yeah, I mean, the ideas are getting thrown around right now, but it's kind of a year-by-year thing. I mean, we didn't know for sure what the plan was for this summer until, I mean, 5-6 weeks ago. You know, I came into the room and asked Coach Bono, you know, hey, what's your thoughts on me, you know, making a run for the team this year? And, you know, we had a conversation and decided, you know, let's go all in on Greco this year and give it a shot.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it, Braxton.
Thank you.
We'll now return to our 53-kilogram women's match. I'm glad you were able to make it, Dom. Appreciate you.
Hi, sorry, first time in New York. You'll have to cut me some slack.
Wait, no, tell me that. Is that true?
It is, yeah, it is true.
You didn't get on the wrong subway, did you?
Didn't get on any subway, but we got dropped off on like the far side of Madison Square Garden, walked all the way around it, realized that we passed the entrance, and then walked back to it. So,
Well, they wouldn't do that in L.A., would they?
I mean, I probably would do that in L.A. I haven't spent much time in L.A. either.
Okay. Well, no, I knew you were going to be here, so we just kind of skipped your weight a little bit.
I just
so.
wanted to scare you a little bit.
Yeah, well, you did a good job. Well, at 53 kilograms on women, we have Felicity Taylor against Dominique Parish. And since I've already got Dominique talking, we're going to start with you this time, okay? Yeah, you were a California athlete, wrestled in college in Canada, won a bunch of medals, and athlete of the year in women's wrestling. And you're down there in the sunshine in Phoenix and training with a real strong group of young women and men, obviously, too, for your chasing your Olympic dreams. Could you talk a little bit about what's going on down there? What's good in that training situation, and how it's helped you get ready to maybe make this first senior world team?
I would say, like, the worst part about training down there is all of my partners suck. You know, like, no one in that room is not decorated, right? I feel like I'm a bit of the grunt sometimes, and I've always flourished in a room where I'm not the best person. It's easy to get better when you're constantly getting beat up on, because you can make small goals and, like, meet them. You know, if I'm going matches with Helen and my goal is to get one takedown on her, and I get one takedown on her, it you know, it just inspires me to make bigger goals. And it's really easy to improve in a room when everyone in the room is better than you.
But your goal is to be the best in the world at your weight class, right?
Yeah, yes.
So how do you feel you're doing right now in your preparation for this year to be a world champion?
I mean, I'm doing something right. I'm here, right? The last couple tournaments, I feel like I've really broken out and have been wrestling well, wrestling smart, and I think my conditioning through Neuroforce 1 and my training in the room has been very specific, very focused on my styles and the things that I need to work on, and I'm just feeling very confident going into this trials and then on to the tournaments after this.
Thanks a lot, Dom, and
Thank you.
welcome to New York.
Thank you.
I was born here. So
You were born here?
Yeah.
You'll have to show me around.
I'll get lost too, don't worry about it.
I heard the pizza and the hot dogs are good.
Yeah, I've already had a piece of pizza, so we're good.
That makes one of us.
So our other competitor, 53 kilograms, Felicity Taylor. Felicity, this spring's been awesome for you. You know, you won the Open, you've qualified for Final X, you're wrestling at a really high level. Could you talk a little bit about what's going on with your training and the partners and coaches and those that have helped you peak to give you a shot to make the world team here at Final X?
Yeah, well, my training's kind of been a little crazy. I mean, it's been scheduled, but a lot's kind of been going on this spring with my head coach transferring to Central Methodist University. So just trying to stay focused on the wrestling aspect and not let any of the outside stuff get to that. I was student teaching during the fall semester, so I feel like that is kind of where I realized I really wanted to be involved in this sport more and fell in love with the process. I took a step away from the team part and actually was working out with our assistant coach, Gabrielle Wyrich. So just kind of being away from the team made me fall in love with the sport again and realize that this is something I want to do as my career.
Now, you were real excited with your win. I'm trying to think which one, because you made a world team and age group level as well. If you fall in love and it's fun, does that make a difference in scoring those points when you need it and finding the energy in a tough match? And are you feeling like different when you're out there competing because of your new approach mentally?
Yeah, definitely. Like, my confidence has been up ever since I started to fall in love with it. I feel like I've been capable of what I've been doing lately. It's just finding the confidence to finally do it and believe in myself. So.
Thanks a lot, Felicity. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
At this point, we're going to have questions from the journalists. Got a handheld microphone and someone who's going to help pass it along. Okay, we got a new one. This guy's a wrestler, by the way, just so you know. Test it, see if it's working.
Test.
No. Give that a try.
Test.
There you go. Okay, so if you have a question, raise your hand, identify yourself and where you're from, ask which athlete the question, and you guys pass around the mics if you could to whoever gets a question. Go ahead, man.
Josh Smith, representing the school of the New York Times. This is a question for Alston. Alston, you've lost both of your matchups to Alejandro, with one of those losses coming as recently as 6 weeks ago. What have you done in the last 6 weeks to not only move forward, but to prepare yourself for a familiar opponent on an international stage?
Well, I've really put the nose to the grindstone, believed in myself, and I think it's time for a change. You know, my coaches have gotten behind me. Sunkist kids, Lucas Stout, Andy Bisick have really pushed me. So that was yesterday, and tomorrow's going to be a different story.
Next question.
Hi, Sydney Chan representing the School of the New York Times. I have a question for Giangelo. Going off your point that Greco-Roman wrestling is less well known and underfunded, how do you think we as society can spread the word about the sport and get more youth participation ASAP?
That's a great question, and thank you for asking it. I think something that's very important is having RTCs that are Greco-friendly, right? There's a lot of RTCs out there that we know are freestyle ran. They're entirely, ran by freestyle wrestlers, and they're not Greco-friendly spaces, right? There's no Greco athletes in there, and if they are, they have to wrestle freestyle in order to get by, in order to work on freestylers' parterre defense, for example, which is something that I personally know from firsthand, being at the Olympic Training Center for 4 years, living there. We would intentionally, freestyle would come to our practices, we'd come to their practices, but it'd be an intentionally parterre-based practice where we were working on defense and for freestyle wrestlers, as Greco is known for dominant parterre positionings. But to answer your question, it's making these Greco-friendly RTCs available for athletes, to letting people know that, hey, we're a place that teaches and trains Greco, and then now maybe athletes may, instead of seeing and shooting double legs, they'll see somebody in the corner getting thrown on their head, and they're like, "What is that? Maybe I can try that." Because I know when I met TC Danzler as a 16-year-old kid, and he taught me a reverse lift, and it was a bomb, throwing somebody on their neck. I was like, "That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do that for the rest of, as far as I can see in the future."
Thank you. Another question?
Question for Dom and Felicity. Dom, you're from a state in California that was a pioneer for women's wrestling, and then Felicity, you came from Iowa that just sanctioned it recently. Just talk about maybe, Dom, what it was like to have a fully integrated state for women's wrestling, and then Felicity, the same thing, what it was like battling not having sanctioned women's wrestling until this year.
In California, when I wrestled, there was a state tournament for girls, but I was still wrestling mostly guy tournaments in high school. So for me, my experience was different than I'm sure Felicity's was. I had a high school team with a bunch of girls on it. My dad was the coach. I had a lot of support, and I think it really helped my wrestling because I never had to, well, that's not true, but I rarely felt like I didn't belong, and I think adding more states and state tournaments like in Iowa will help more girls get interested in the sport and stay in it when they don't have to think about, if I go to this tournament, is there going to be anyone for me to wrestle? If I go to this tournament, are they going to make me weigh in a closet in the back? Stuff like that.
Felicity?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think with Iowa sanctioning it, it should draw that to more women. Mine was a lot different than Dom's. I was on a team full of boys. I was the only girl on my team. I actually only competed against one girl my entire high school career. So other than going to freestyle tournaments like Fargo and stuff, I was all against guys. So it'll be nice to have that sanctioned for them. I'm really excited for them, and I think it'll really start to grow in Iowa.
And there's a lot of momentum in Iowa right now with the first Power 5 conference team in the state, and a lot of good things going on. Is that a state we need to watch out for?
Oh, for sure. Iowa is always a state you need to watch out for. So with Iowa, the university getting women's wrestling too, that's huge. Lots of good things going on in Iowa right now.
Thank you. Another question?
Question for Braxton. Could you talk about trying to juggle folk style, a season at Wisconsin, and then having to ramp back up and change to a style that's very unsimilar to folk style?
Can you be more specific? Sorry, I
just explain how the training goes, where you have to do a whole folk style season at Wisconsin, and now you have to switch gears and go over to Greco.
Yeah. So we went through the entire folk style season. Never really thought about Greco until we came back from our little break, and I was wanting to compete, wanting to kind of prove to myself that I could win again, because the college season wasn't the best for me. And it was falling back in love with throwing guys on their heads. And it was kind of second nature as far as getting back into training. Lifting is lifting. In my opinion, wrestling's wrestling. So I mean, just getting in the room, being with my 25 to 30 best friends in the world, doing what we love every day is just kind of same stuff, different day.
I think we'll go one more question. Right over here, please.
This question is actually also for Braxton. You wrestled Giangelo in the Olympic trials finals. Giangelo obviously went on the Olympic Games. He's won a world medal now. What did you learn from that experience? Where was Giangelo particularly difficult for you? Where was he challenging you? And what do you think you've been able to address for this matchup tomorrow?
As far as what's changed, I mean, I'm not wrestling, 15 matches going into the best of 3 series. I'm well rested. And, I'm just bigger and stronger than I was, coming in. I mean, he's obviously a great wrestler, world bronze medalist. I guess we'll just see what happens. Not a whole lot's changed as far as technique or anything like that on my side. I'm just going to go out there and go for hopefully 18 minutes and see what happens.
Okay, I think at this time we're going to split up into one-on-one, so we could either speak to the athletes here, or some journalists may ask you to go a different part of the room. We're going to do this for 15 minutes or so, and then at quarter of or so, we're going to have the athletes go on their last tour down to see exactly where they're going to wrestle and the whole setup for tomorrow. So journalists, come on up and let's do the one-on-one interviews at this point. Thank you. third of our press conferences here for Final X in New York. I'm Gary Abbott with USA Wrestling. This, for those of you that are new and just are joining us, would like to talk a little bit about what's going on tomorrow here at the Hulu Theater. USA Wrestling and Beat the Streets, two of the more important organizations in American wrestling, have combined with two of their best events, Final X and the Beat the Streets benefit. And we're going to be competing here at the Hulu Theater in the most famous arena in the world, Madison Square Garden. So should be a great day of wrestling. When we're done, we'll have determined 14 spots on the 2022 U.S. Senior World Team, which will be competing in Serbia in September. While we're raising a ton of money for youth wrestling and youth development programs here in New York City. Today at these press conferences, we're going to have 28 athletes from 14 weight classes who wrestle in a best of 3 series tomorrow. And we made a decision this year, instead of trying to put 30 people or 28 people all on one stage, to split it up in different groups. And that's what we're doing. It's going really well on our first 2 press conferences, and look forward to introducing you to the great athletes on our stage right here. A bit about our format. I'll introduce each weight class and then ask 1 or 2 questions of each of the wrestlers, and we'll work through the athletes that are on stage. And then we'll open it up and ask journalists to make questions. There'll be a microphone that'll be passed around. Please identify yourself and your media outlet, and then ask who you're speaking with. So, before we get started with the actual press conference, oh, by the way, when we're done with that, we'll go on one-on-one interviews where the journalists will come up and they'll either interview the athletes up here at the table or ask you to go to a different part of the room for individual interviews. We won't go any more than 45 minutes. So, again, appreciate the athletes for being here and look forward to hearing what they have to say. Is Brendan here? There you are. I'd like to introduce Brendan Buckley, who's the Executive Director of Beat the Streets here in New York, to talk about their gala event and the athletes and the youth that they serve here in New York City. Thanks, Brendan.
Thanks, Gary. Welcome, everybody, to New York City and Final X. This is our first time that Beat the Streets has had the opportunity to host Final X or a World Team Trials. So this is our largest event of the year, and this is actually the first one in over 3 years. So this is certainly a big deal for us. And looking at all the people on this stage, it makes sense. We're honored, grateful, and just really excited to be back running an event again to market and promote the good work that Beat the Streets does, where we work with 2,500 male and female student athletes that are as young as kindergarten all the way through college. We have a variety of different programs, and so all of them are invited. All of our kids, our coaches, parents, alumni, we make sure that they get there. We had several hundred last year. They're all going to be done in their Beat the Streets t-shirts. So, they look up to all of you, and it really means a lot. You guys have always been involved and been the first to raise your hand when we want to do an event, and that means a lot to us. So a few people to thank. Our staff has been hustling, working really hard, our volunteers, obviously our partners, USA Wrestling, to make this event happen, and all of our sponsors, and then certainly MSG and Hulu Theater. So just if there's anything we can do to help make this a better event, you have questions, details. We've talked to a few people about our after party we always do. We'd love to have all the athletes and coaches. This is our first time in 3 years, so I can tell you there's just a lot of enthusiasm and excitement, and we're just stoked to have all of you here. So best wishes to everybody. Hope it's a terrific event, and do let us know if we can do anything to help you.
without further ado, we'll talk to the athletes, starting in the order that they'll be wrestling. And the first weight class, which we will talk to, is our 50-kilogram women's freestyle weight, Sarah Hildebrandt against Alyssa Lampe. So Sarah, coming off a really good 2021, won an Olympic medal and then made the finals again in the World Championships. Coming into this year, how's your season gone, and what kind of things are you working on to take those medals and turn them into gold?
Yeah, that's a good question because I really feel like I wanted to approach this season differently than I have in the past, which has been kind of a difficult thing just because I feel like I had been finding success doing what I was doing, but clearly not the success I was actually after. So there have been things I've been approaching differently, and just it's really been a deep dive into where I'm at mentally and what wrestling is adding to myself as Sarah, you know, instead of wrestling being entirely me and Sarah. And I think I really had to make that distinction between, you know, wrestling is a tool, is a wonderful thing that is just adding to who I am, and how that has been able to set my training and change my mindset and just how I feel about the sport and what I'm actually trying to do within the sport. I think it's really freed me and opened me up to just enjoying it again. And I really, really am committed to prioritizing that mindset, you know, this year and the rest of the quad as well.
Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate that. Alyssa, won 2 world bronze medals. You're one of the top wrestlers in the world. Retired for a while, right? You come back a couple of years ago, and now you have an opportunity tomorrow to make another world team and make another run at a world medal. I'm curious how you feel you're wrestling right now in comparison to those years when you were winning those medals, and also what's kind of new and different for you in your life is this portion of your wrestling career.
Is this on? Am I talking? That's
Yeah,
low.
there you go.
Okay. I think what's changed is I've, you know, worked on my style a little bit to change that, and then I think more. So it was more of a job, and now it's more fun for me. I found my passion again with wrestling, and just being more confident in who I am as a human being, and so that's kind of changed a little bit.
And talk a little bit about where you're training and the people that are part of your training right now, because you made a move from one coast to the other, and then now you have an opportunity to be with different athletes than where you were training prior. What's that like for you?
So I have been very fortunate. I was training in Vermont with Aaron Claudio, and that was a really good training environment, and I really liked training with the D3 program and having that family aspect. So I knew when I had to change locations, that's what I wanted. That's what I needed, actually. So when I went to the Beaver Dam, I already knew Nate Engel and had gone to school with him. And then just being surrounded by that family aspect is huge for me, because I know no matter what, we have each other's backs, and they love me regardless of wrestling. And they're going to be family no matter what. Like, wrestling doesn't, you know, if I stop wrestling tomorrow and didn't even compete in this Final X, they would still love me and support me. So, and that means a lot to me. So.
Does it help you in your performance as well to be in that setting?
Absolutely, that takes a lot of pressure off of me that I put on myself, not them. But.
Thanks a lot, Alyssa. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Our next weight class is 74 kilograms in men's freestyle. Kyle Dake against Jason Nolf. Kyle, yeah, you won 3 world titles, been to the Olympics, won a medal. Every season, obviously, is a new challenge for you. How do you change your game in a way to make it better and also keep you sharp and fresh for the challenge for the new year, which we're now about to determine who gets to wrestle at the Worlds?
A lot of the changes that I make are pretty much just based on my creativity and trying to understand how my body works, understand what I can do better, and understand how I can be more efficient and more effective out there on the mat. So most of the time, whether that be, you know, walking down the street or in the wrestling room, I'm working on tiny little things that eventually it'll pay some dividends. And it's not like I've been, it's going to be right away, but I've been doing it for the past few years, and I can start to see them picking up daily now, which is pretty cool.
And as a world champion, the world pays attention and studies you and thinks they might have a way to figure you out. And what kind of things do you do in the room or just in your preparation for wrestling to make sure that they don't know what you're going to do for them?
I don't really know. Try to make sure they don't come into my practice room and watch me, I guess.
Maybe. I don't know.
No. Again, just trying to be as creative as possible, and not getting crazy with it, by trying to do things that are high risk and low reward, but really just focusing on the details and try to be innovative there.
Thanks a lot, Kyle. Appreciate it. Jason, you're in your first Final X. Obviously, fantastic college career. You made national teams in freestyle. And talk a little bit about the training environment with Nittany Lion and how you've made steps forward in your freestyle to put you in a position where you have an opportunity this year to go to the Senior World Championships, represent your country.
Yeah, I think most of my life I never wrestled freestyle. I never thought that I was going to wrestle freestyle after college until about 2016. So the last couple years have been, spending time catching up and learning how to wrestle freestyle better. So I've been making a lot of good adjustments, and I think that I'm getting a lot better.
And were there things that in your recent competitions you started feeling like, man, I'm going to be a great freestyler now rather than in the future? Were there things this year that you were able to feel or see that made the progress from when you started into that real deep dive into the style?
I always kind of think in the now rather than in the future, but I've just seen a lot of growth, and I believe in my coaches and I believe in myself, so to get better every day and always do the best that I can with what I'm given.
Thanks a lot, Jason. Appreciate it. Our next weight class, 57 kilograms in women's freestyle. Helen Marulis against Alexandra Hedrick. Helen, pretty much have won it all in wrestling, right? First woman to win an Olympic gold medal in wrestling for our country, the first to win 2 medals at the Olympics for us, multiple world titles. Could you talk a little bit about what it is about wrestling that keeps you motivated and coming back for more every year? And I'm sure it's not another medal. I'm sure it has to do with your love of the sport or the things that you learn. Or talk a little bit about why Helen Marulis is still here and still striving to be the best there is.
Yeah, so I'm still in wrestling, honestly, because I love it just as much as I did when I was a kid, if not more. And I've been blessed to accomplish a lot of really great things in the sport. There are a couple things that I would still like to do. And I think it more just comes out of a curiosity of I just want to know what that experience is like. Like I always wanted to know what it's like to win a gold medal. And then I got to experience that. And I've also experienced what it's like to lose or to not reach my goals. And I've never been, I think one of my goals I still have is to just be a part of a team where we win as a team. And I know that I believe we have the team to do that. And I know all the girls are really motivated to do that. So honestly, I'm around great people. I have great teammates. We have a great program. And so it's just fun. It's enjoyable. Like I like being here. I like doing this. I like seeing everybody. So I think that just motivates me as well.
Does occasionally when you run into a little girl or a first-time wrestler in women's wrestling come up to you and talk to you, does that kind of remind you about the position you've taken in the sport and how you can help others?
Sorry,
No, that's fine. I mean, as someone who's been successful, there are often young people that want to talk to you and listen and learn from you and look up to you. And what do you think about that when that occurs and you're at an event and a little girl wants to chat with you about wrestling?
I think the really cool thing for me in this role and in this experience in the sport of wrestling and women's wrestling is when young girls come up to me, I think just seeing them and seeing their passion and their fire and their excitement and just that like innocence and just wanting to take on this big dream, that reminds me of my younger self. And it's like, of course you want to feel that. Of course you want to encourage these girls. And so whether their dream is to make it to the Olympics or they're just so excited that women's wrestling now is just even an option for them to go do, even as a club sport, you know, it's cool to know that many women have paved the way before me and that I've now also been a part of that trail. And so, you know, we're hoping to continue to grow the sport and continue to have more opportunities for young girls.
Thank you, Helen. I appreciate you. Alex, 2018, you were in a spot to make a senior world team, right? And had to wrestle Helen. And since then, when we had COVID, college didn't have a season. There's been a lot of changes in your life. Could you talk a little bit about what's different now for you in your wrestling, but also in what's going on in your life that might help you as you go into this opportunity to make a world team today?
Yeah, so I feel like since 2018, a lot has changed and a lot of things has happened to me. In November of 2020, I actually had heart surgery, which was like a huge life-changing event. But I was very blessed to be able to find people that were able to help me, and I was able to get back on the mat very quickly. And then just finishing up my college career this year and then moving to the Olympic Training Center has been a great, I think, change for me as far as getting me just a change. Like, I think I was getting a little bit like complacent at SFU, and so I think moving somewhere where I had a little bit of a different routine, new training partners, new coaches, was just a needed change.
And going into the series, do you feel confident that you've been able to develop some of the things that would make it possible to not only make it the team, but also go and win a medal? Or are there parts of your game that you're really proud of?
Yeah, I feel very confident in my development as a wrestler. I feel like I'm doing everything I can to improve mentally, physically, you know, and so I feel very confident in my training, my coaches, and everything that I'm doing.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Alex. Our next weight class, 79 kilograms in men's freestyle, Jordan Burroughs and Chance Marsteller. Jordan, could we rewind to early in your career? And you were talking about these goals of maybe winning more gold than any other American wrestler. And we're going into Final X, and you've had 6 and have a possibility this year to move to the first spot, right? How much different is it for you right now than when you perceived the goals of maybe winning a bunch of gold medals for the United States? How's your life different than what you thought it would be?
Well, I tell you what, Gary, I'm glad that Adeline Gray is pregnant because she's not going to be wrestling at the World Championships this year. Because I believe she would probably be first to do it. You know, she's been on my heels for a long period of time, and you know, we've kind of edged out each other throughout the last decade or so. One of the things that you realize when you first start this journey is that you are naive to the difficulties that eventually you'll face. I rattled off 69 straight victories, 3 straight world championships. I never realized that there was going to be a lull period in there where there was going to be a few years where I didn't win a world championship or I didn't make a team. So I think in that period of time, you start to readjust your goals, you start to readjust your values and your perspective, you start to gain a little bit more of a realization like this is a really difficult journey. And every world championship doesn't guarantee another gold medal. And no one really counts the silvers and the bronzes. So the gold is always the most important goal. But I think that at this point in my career, I'm really enjoying what I do. And I have a new zeal to go into the wrestling room and perform. And I've got a great team, a great family, and all those things are motivating for me.
And we're out east with this event. I mean, you've spent many years in Midwest and Lincoln and have moved back to the area that you grew up with. And you probably will have a bunch of people coming up from Philly, right, to watch you. It's a little bit special. I know you've wrestled in Final X in Lincoln. You're wrestling here in New York, which is right there next to Jersey. Is it going to feel a little like another home match? Or?
A little bit. I think this is my 11th Beat the Streets event, and I always fly here because I've always been in Lincoln. I took the train here. So that's a new perspective. My family's here. Because of COVID, a lot of my family and friends haven't seen me compete since 2019. And the last time I was here was in 2019 when I wrestled Ben Askren. And I found a lot of success that day. So I'm hoping to replicate what I was able to do then. It's just been a lot of fun. I enjoy being back on the East Coast. I've got 4 little ones. My parents are close by. They're about 10 miles away in Cherry Hill. They're picking the kids up, taking them to school, taking them to wrestling and gymnastics practice. It's been a huge help. Brandon Slade's been a phenomenal leader. And so at this point in my career, I'm starting to kind of settle into this new role as player coach, mentor / athlete. And it's been a tremendous responsibility, but it's also been a lot of fun.
Thanks a lot, Jordan. Appreciate it. Chance, you've had to overcome a lot of challenges to get to where you are today, and I just wanted to ask you a little bit about, how your journey to Final X and your journey through wrestling has made you not only a better wrestler, but maybe a better man.
Yeah, I mean, my journey's definitely been long to get here. One thing I want to make clear is that most of it was definitely self-inflicted. So once I got out of my own way, good things were able to start happening. I think part of the process is once I realized, Jordan hit along it, that this journey's no joke, and once you're able to start smiling during the tough times, things start to change.
And you had some smiles in the preparation and competition to get here, right? I mean, it was pretty emotional for you during the qualifying stages to this. You're looking forward to the challenge you have tomorrow. You got the 6 gold medal athlete that's been a leader of our country, and you have an opportunity to go out there and challenge yourself and show the world what Chance can do, right? Talk a little bit about what you have tomorrow to do.
Absolutely. Everyone knows Jordan and what he's done, but at the same time, the amount of work he's put in, the amount of work I put in, I don't think are much different as far as the work. I don't think it's about beating him tomorrow. It's about still, I didn't set a goal to necessarily beat Jordan. I set a goal to win a world title. And along that's going to come a challenge like this that I'll have to overcome. I'm very excited about it. I very well think that tomorrow night is the World Finals. The best 2 dudes in the world wrestling.
We're really looking forward to it too. Congratulations on this achievement of getting here, and best of luck tomorrow in your goals.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Our final weight class, 86 kilograms. David Taylor against Zahid Valencia. We'll start with David. So, David, after winning the Olympics in Tokyo, what's changed about your life, or did it? Did it change at all? And how did that experience of reaching that childhood dream of yours help you moving forward as you go on towards the next Olympic Games?
I set that goal at a really young age to be an Olympic champion, and it was, like just any journey, it's a long journey with your ups and downs. So, I think the only goal I set out for myself from a young age I did accomplish was being a 4-time national champion in college. I was pretty close. I went on to win a world championship and then won the Olympics, but every step along the way, I felt like every goal that I achieved, I always felt like emptiness, like there was more to achieve, and then after winning the Olympic gold medal, it was fulfillment. And I think that was awesome. Just so many people that have helped me get there, my friends, my family, my coaches, and it's a team effort. It's hard to even, I think in that moment, you start reflecting back to all those people that have helped you along the way, and you wouldn't be there without them. Then you take some time off and you feel like, all right, well, what is next? And realize like, man, I really love wrestling, and let's do that again in Paris. It's definitely an addicting feeling, to have your hand raised. To be hungry for more. So it's it's a unique time in wrestling. We can support our families. It's you come out this, it's a lifestyle. You treat it like a job. There's a lot of opportunities that continue to present themselves, and being a role model to the next group of kids, that if you set your mind to something, you can go out and achieve it.
Thanks, David. Appreciate that. Zahid, I mean, you've been to Final X before, and you're back, right? Talk a little bit about your journey since the last time you were in the finals of Final X, and how things have been going for you this year and this quest to make this team.
Yeah, for sure. I think I've grown a lot since wrestling Kai over there a few years back. You know, I've matured a lot. I think I've really honed into my technique and just really developed a new style of wrestling. You know, so this year I've had a few good tournaments. You know, going out to Russia, wrestling at the Oregon, you know, Pan Ams, and then going through the World Trials. So I think I'm prepared. You know, I've been feeling good. You know, using strategy with my coaches. You know, talking about every little thing that I could work on. So I'm just pumped. I'm excited to be here.
And who are the people that you work out with the most? People that have helped get you ready for this challenge. Obviously, you're in a training situation which has a ton of good people and great coaches. But are there anyone you'd like to note that have really made a difference in your season and for preparation here?
Yeah, for sure. It's not just the people I roll around with. You know, it's everyone. Everyone brings something. You know, even the women's wrestling. You know, having Forrest Molinari there. You know, Dom, Kayla, Helen, all those people. That atmosphere. You know, training with my brother Anthony, Josh Shields, having Coach Mark Perry there, having Zeke. You know, just all the way up to Kim and Art Martor. You know, everybody makes a difference, and everyone helps and supports me in a different way. So I'm just excited to put on a show for them, for myself, and everyone, really.
Well, I appreciate it, Zahid.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. So I'm looking for a volunteer to help hand around a microphone. Coach, thank you. You know I was going to ask you. You'd know that, right? Anyone have some questions? Coach will bring you the microphone and tell us who you are and who you represent and ask the question to a specific athlete. And you guys hand around the microphone so if you get a question. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Christian Piles, FloWrestling. Question for Jordan Burroughs. I have a tweet from June of 2016 I want to read. Marsteller is an amazing wrestler, but if he wants to win at this level, he's got to improve his conditioning. You sent that tweet, Jordan. My question is, at this point in time, do you think he's improved his conditioning enough to compete against you?
He has. He has. I think that from what I've seen from Chance over the last few months, we were in the same tournament together at the Yasar Dogu. And in late February, I watched him beat a world champion in Sabalov. I watched him beat Butsapov on the opposite side of the bracket and make it to the final in a pretty deep field. I watched him have a solid performance at the U.S. Open. Didn't really wrestle to the best of his ability, but then I also watched him wrestle at the World Team Trials, hold off Carter Sirachi late in the match when he was coming after him like a madman. I watched him, you know, stave off Dave McFadden and then Vincenzo Joseph twice. I think he's in a really good place. And all those guys have different elements of their wrestling that make them difficult to compete against. Chance is a formidable opponent. He's a great wrestler. He's got great conditioning. He's got a very poised mind, and he's wrestling for something bigger than himself. And you can tell by his performances over this past year. But I'm always going to be ready. You know, I'm me. I'm always going to do my thing, so I'll be ready.
Next question.
Question for Helen and Sarah. You guys have actually wrestled each other in competition. It's been a while, but what's it been like to be on this journey together?
No comment, no. Yeah, it's crazy. Me, Helen, Jakara, we're all in the same bracket. Kayla as well. We're all in the same bracket in 2015 World Team Trials. I wrestled all three of them, actually. So we've all, you know, divided and conquered since. But it's been really cool because growing up, I just knew Helen as, you know, she was who I wrestled in the finals every year. And she would just absolutely destroy me. So from going from that then to her, you know, I remember when she won the Olympics and I was like an emotional wreck and I had lost to her for that spot, you know what I mean? And then now to being like, a mentor and teammate and really good friend. It's been so cool going through that whole that whole progression with her. I think it's made us really close, and I just feel really lucky to have had not only the chance to look up to somebody like that, but she's literally pushed me to become better through being an opponent and now as being a teammate. So it's a really cool experience.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. This women's team, honestly, has just been such a big motivating factor for me to stay around, and each of the women to follow their journey over the last couple of years and see everyone just really come into their own weight class. It's been super inspiring. I mean, obviously we're following each other's journey, so to see Sarah go through some of those injuries and setbacks and then literally just change her whole life and her whole career, and I saw that mindset switch, and I just remember telling my coach, like, she can do it, she's gonna win the Olympics, like, and I know it because I've done it before, and I can see it. And then, just even the other women that I've competed against, Jakara and Kayla, it's just been really nice to grow and help push each other. And I don't know, our women's team has a really great bond, and I think that's why we are really getting prepared to take on a team title as well, because we've all just really pushed each other these last couple of years.
Another question out there?
A question for David. Saw you coaching at the U17 World Team Trials, and just wondering what you've gained and what you've learned from being a coach and how that might affect your competition.
Well, I think it means a little bit more when you're in there coaching your kids, because you're telling them to do something or that you think is the best way. You don't want to be a hypocrite. You don't want to tell them to do something and then you're not doing the exact same thing. So I think what's unique, it's still being so, and Chance probably can relate to it. It's just you're competing at this level. What you're learning, you're going back and you're helping those kids immediately. So you're trying to help them with that learning curve, show them like what you feel like is the best way. And I mean, U17s, U20s, U23s, I mean, to make those teams along the way are really difficult. And these kids are battling and going through that world team trials experience. To go to a world championship and win is so valuable. So, going through the ups and the downs with the kids is pretty special. I mean, they put so much time into it at the club level. I mean, what we do is a time commitment. What they do is a time commitment, but it's also a huge family time commitment. See that kind of pay off for the families that are putting all that time into their kids and being there and helping them, help be along that journey to help them achieve their goals. And, back-to-back years, we have kids that made the U17 team and are going to go, Coach Mark's going to go to Rome this year with Tyler Kasak. So last year, Coach Eric, who's now Arizona State, but he went with Levi Haynes, so just to be able to have those experiences that they're gathering is so valuable, and it's a big deal for our club as well, to see that these kids that are coming, putting the time in, it's paying dividend and helping them make those teams, it's pretty special.
Another question?
Question for David, Jordan, and Kyle. This is pretty incredible that you guys were at the same weight, and here you are qualifying for Final X again. What's it been like to compete against each other, and how has that built you into this moment right now?
Go first. Obviously, David and I competed in college. We watched Jordan accomplish something that we had both dreamed of, and we happened to fall in that same weight class. So we were chomping at the bit to get there, competing, doing everything that we could to reach that pinnacle. And it took some time and a lot of effort to get there. But had he not been there, would we be at the same pinnacle that we're at? It's hard to say. He's just kind of set that standard of if you're coming out of America and you're in these weight classes, you got to go win. So you push yourself every day to go be better, and that's what you got to do. You got to go win.
Yeah, I think it's pretty wild to think back, those weight classes, and throw in Andrew Howe as well, that we were all going through each other. And I just think that adversity, that expectation of success, I think has really molded all of us. I think, without that adversity, I don't know if I would be where I am now. I just feel like I was in the wrong weight class. I think that I was trying to cut down so much weight for so long, and I felt like it was the right place. I was also very competitive, and I hated losing. And ultimately felt like the best place from my body was 86 kilos, and was able to really kind of achieve my potential. But I think going through that and struggling after having a lot of success in my career, it helped me really find a new hunger. So I really got to thank these guys. So I don't think I'd be where I am without them.
Yeah, I think the blessing is that we're on the right side of history. Throughout this journey, like in the 90s, there were 10 weight classes. And then when I first burst into the freestyle scene, there were 7. Now there's only 6 at the Olympic weights. But I think fortunately for us, we were able to get back to a place where we could advocate for more weights because we all knew that these 2 guys were world champion caliber athletes for a long time. Unfortunately, they weren't able to prove that earlier in their career, but I think through that refinement process, they started to just get better, to grow, and they also helped to elevate me at the same time. So, I think that kind of osmosis defining progression was a really cool opportunity for all of us, because I can clearly say that when these 2 guys were in my weight class, there was a different level of training that I knew that I had to bring to the table, because I was very afraid of the competition, because I knew that they had things that were very difficult to defend. He had pace and scrambling ability, he had defense, and it really made it difficult for me to be the same athlete. I had to always try to elevate, evolve, and sharpen up my tool shed. So, yeah, very good stuff now. It's good to be teammates. It's nice we can sit at the same table. We can eat at the same lunch table. Life is good. We can all go out and win a world championship. I think now our focus is becoming team champions. I think that's the one thing that we haven't been able to do together is to win a team title. And so, Zeke Jones, before he left the USA Wrestling head coaching position, he told me the best wrestlers in the world are able to elevate their teammates, and they're able to go out there and win a team championship. And so he's like, you want to solidify yourself as the best wrestler in U.S. history, you've got to help your team win a championship. But we did it in 17. I want to do it again. I want to do it again. We've got 2 hammers that we've added to our squad, and we've been unable to do it. And so I think that we've got a great team this year. The first half's already been assembled. I think we're going to assemble a great team this year. And plus, Russia's not coming. So that's going to make it even easier for us. So we got some work to do, but I'm excited for the opportunity ahead of us.
I think at this point, we're going to break out into one-on-ones so that we have some opportunity for you to speak to individual athletes. The journalists can come up. Now, they may ask you to stay here or maybe move to another part of the room, and we'll do these one-on-ones for a little while. And I really appreciate the athletes and the media for being here, and we're looking forward to a spectacular Final X Beat the Streets benefit tomorrow. And thank you all for being here, and I look forward to getting this thing rolling. First session's at 2, second is at 6, and we have true third matches at 12:30. So thank you.